Start thinking of being employers for themselves, business owners right from get-go.
So for us as a bank, we understand the importance of the minds of those young folks.
My name is
at the center of our thoughts, at the center of our process, at the center of our strategy as a bank, the people reside at the center, and we're at the phase where there's a lot of exodus with talent, right? So what we do as a bank is to create a pipeline of young folks. Interestingly, we have someone from Semicolon from my team, one of my backend developers, a very solid guy. His name is Robert Eru. Very intelligent guy. I mean, across product management, product design, solid. Is a full stack guy, but he sits within the back end space. And I know the kind of troubles I face every now and then having to retain that kind of guy, because it tells me today, Amazon is reaching out to me this morning. Meta is saying so for us, it takes beyond just developing solutions. So what we try to do is to help these guys find purpose in the work they do. So we try to create a picture to say that what you're trying to do is not just to create technology solutions, but you're trying to change lives, right? Even within the regulatory confines, we try to paint a big picture to allow them know that whether you work for Alat or you work for Amazon, right? So what you're doing is to change lives. And I think that has been the ways we've been able to manage the crop of talents we have in Alat. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think that deserves a round of applause because no prejudice to the guys on that end, because I'm going to take you on the last thing you said, the last part of what you said. Attrition is a big deal in keeping talent, right? And we're talking about challenges and opportunities. From Saeed to Sam and to you, Solomon, I can hear the opportunities and the fact that really it's the way to go. I often say that technology is a train and it doesn't even give you the option not to jump in. If you don't get in, it crushes you because you're already on the tracks, right? Now, one of the biggest challenges we'll have in managing technology and building sustainable technological products is lack of stability in the human resource path aspect of it, right? How do you manage attrition? So I'll stay with you. How do you manage attrition? How are you able to ensure that, you scale? So Alat started. If I ask you today, if I put you on the spot and say the developers that started Alat when it did, how many of them are still in the picture? And, if they aren't, how do you ensure? So one of the issues that we fail to realize is that technology, creates a product. Oftentimes, troubleshooting, becomes one of the biggest albatross of, the products of technology, because the manpower that envisioned it have moved on to the next big thing. And so until the next big solution comes, it's very difficult for us to, find solutions. What are the plans in place? How have you been able to manage that? And when you're done, I'd like Saeed to, talk a bit on sustainable technology talent.
Thank you very much. And I think that's quite an interesting question. And I think I can answer your question. So out of all of the guys that built Alat today, none of them are in the bank. So people have questions and challenges around, I have a problem with my bank's network. I have a problem with my transfers. The truth is, some of the guys managing the back end of the solution are somewhere in United Kingdom, in Birmingham, in Spain, in Barcelona, right? So there's a major exodus across, not just the banking sector. And I think at the point when I joined Wema Bank, from Standard Bank Group. I turned 30 this year. One of the major culture shock, a bulk of the guys out in Wema Bank was, where did they bring this young guy from? Who is coming to lead innovation team within the corporate transformation division, right? So what the bank began to do was to put a different face before these young guys, right? Averagely, my team, I think there's just one person who is about 4 or 5 months older than I am. All of these guys are 23, 24. So what we did was to, number one, rethink the way work should be. So there are some of my guys, I've never seen them. I don't care to know how they look. I don't care what they wear. I don't want to know what their voice sounds like. What I need you to do is to log in into Slack, join Teams meeting, join your Scrum meeting, deliver your work, let's take it over and move on. So what the bank is doing is to, number one, rethink the way work should be, right? So for example, I averagely go to work 4 times in a month. Yes, Wema Bank. So people will say the bank is the bank for the old. But I mean, there are days when I go to work maybe 3 times a month. I don't even have an office space at Marina today as the head of innovation. So what the bank is trying to do is to rethink. That's number one. Number two is to rebrand what digital talent means, right? So some of these guys don't care about ABO, BO, SBO, and all of that. So they'll tell you, see, all of this passage allowance, food allowance, no. Divide everything by 12. Let me know I'm earning 1 million naira per month. So it's been a struggle internally, but the bank has been able to say that these guys, because the attention span is quite short. So what we need to do is to rebrand the way we position employee proposition. So what we now do is to say that your remuneration would not be like the other guys. So the bank has also created a different cadre for them to say, I mean, SD1 in Wema Bank today is equivalent to maybe an assistant manager, right? And these guys, you see them when they come to the office on polo and sneakers, right? Today, as I speak to you. So we've been able to rethink, we've been able to rebrand. And what we're now doing is to, repurpose the structure of our teams. Right. So I personally, because I lead some sort of like the youngest team within the bank. So what I try to do is to throw responsibility at them. Right. I throw, because I know some of those guys, what they want is to win. What they want is to build portfolio. So I tell you, we want to build a personal management financial suite. And I want you to manage it end to end. Right. Deliver this thing in 3 months and you'll get XYZ. You see them sleeping in the office. You see them telling me, oh, I've done this thing. I have a bug and I need to sleep over. I need to get a working space. So what we've been able to do is to rethink, rebrand, and repurpose the way we work. I'm not saying we've been able to keep 100% all of our guys, but I know guys who started with me in January and they're still with me today. Some of these guys have gotten offers in, even personally I've gotten offers, right? But again, these ways we've been able to keep them. And I will say finally, what I do is to sell to them a bigger purpose. Right? I sell to them a bigger vision. So I tell them 5 years ago, we built a lot by Wema. What are we building next? We can write our names in the sign of time to say this is what we built as innovation team at Wema Bank. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much from where he stopped. So I think continuing from there, what I always see is that as an organization, we need to invest in the continuous development of talents. So if I need 10 backend engineers, I should be ready to invest in the development of 100 backend engineers into the ecosystem. Because when you invest in an ecosystem, you will eventually become a beneficiary of that ecosystem, whether you like it or not. Because when you talk of the bigger picture, those who see your investment in the environment as well believe you are a stakeholder, not just in them, but in the future of others. And with that, you have the possibility of developing, a sustainable relationship, because relationship matters a lot also to, to this generation of developers.
Yeah.
And the feeling that you're on a different level also, matters. I could recall, about 15 years, 16 years ago, I mean, it wasn't the software developer world yet in Nigeria, but then it was the world of network engineers. And, the human resources manager told me, look, you're on a special, by hearing that word special something alone, I just said, don't worry, I'm coming to join you, So, yes, when people have skills that are in high demand, you need, to make them feel special. Of course, as organizations, you must be able to manage the other aspects too that is non-special in quotes, because it's a collective organization that can deliver purpose. As simple as a delivery, a dispatch rider in your bank, if it doesn't do its job well, your customers will probably get, dissatisfied. So investment in talent development, I believe, is the bedrock for building sustainable talent development, apart from the financial aspect and the cultural aspect of it. And with respect to that, I see Lagos State, investing further by this, the kites that we plan in Yaba, that when we have this kind of large facilities where organizations can come in, where people can work and live, it's like a community for them. And if I love a community, why do I want to, exit so quick? At least if you're going to exit, I believe, so one other important part is creating probably like a roadmap. Okay, 3-year roadmap. I want to become, a top flight developer. But along the line, I also want to be able to develop junior developers as well. So that way they see themselves as reinvesting, in that ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Said. I'm sure you guys are getting the mix. I like what Solomon said: rethink, rebrand, repurpose. While we're at it, some light came into this bit of grayness. Women always brighten up the room. So it's nice to have Haoma Wagu. I'm sure she's going to be giving us unique insights. I know she's an advocate for sustainability, and she does a lot in the accelerator and incubator hub ecosystem. So before you joined us, we've just been looking at really trying to put some measure of definition into technology talents in the digital economy. And Sam had given us a private sector perspective. Saeed has given us a public sector perspective. Solomon has given us an intriguing, interesting, exemplification of talent management and retention, right? Where you have pivotal talent staying with you from January to date in the tech ecosystem, it's a big deal, but I find that a bit painful for that to be a big deal, because really, for technology to be sustainable, you should look at between 3 to 5 years, but where you have them in such short spaces, it's a problem. So I've given you a bit of context. I'd like you to, give us your view of technology talent before we come to Sam. Give us your view of technology talent management and digital economy from the perspective of the accelerator and incubator hubs. You work with budding startups, budding talents. How do you manage these talents? What do you tell them in terms of building sustainability and, staying in one place, so to speak? So Haoma, good to have you and welcome.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an honor to be here. And I am more excited because this is a topic I'm very passionate about, right? And that's why I do all I do in the talent development sector. Now, a tech talent is basically any resource that is contributing to the development of an economy technologically, right? But right now, we are tempted to call a particular set of people tech talents. For example, those that do software engineering, those that do UI, UX. But then the talents in our incubation hub, we let them understand that. So as long as you are a resource, right, with a talent that can contribute to the technological advancement of any economy, you are a tech talent. Now, what we do differently, which I believe that Africa should focus on more, is talent branding. So currently, most innovation hubs, incubation hubs are focusing on the upskilling parts, right? And then we leave out the talent branding part. And that's why we see that we have young talents, right, that know what to do, but they cannot communicate their value to a global audience. And that's why it's hard for the average young talent in Africa to get jobs in, say, Facebook, in Twitter, and all those global startups, because the talent branding aspect is being ignored to an extent. So what we do and what I advise that most innovation hubs should do is to focus on talent branding. How are their LinkedIn profiles looking, right? Can they sustain a meaningful interview and communicate what they can offer, right? I believe that if we focus on things like this, innovation hubs will actually contribute more. And the last is community building. So I've talked about upskilling, I've talked about talent branding. Now, I recently joined a community of talent, right? And they call it Talent City. That's Inyaboyeji's new startup. And it's like the new Africa's Silicon Valley. Now, one thing I noticed whenever I'm in the community of these talents is that I tend to want to do more, right? Because there's energy in community. Most incubation hubs now focus on upskilling one talent, upskilling you separately, right? Ignoring the aspect of community, right? So if we can focus on community building more, even as we upskill our talents, I believe that we would have more impact in the development ecosystem. Thank you.
It's not easy to have a pretty face, and then you want only those of us on the panel to see this pretty face. It won't work. A round of applause for Halma. Community building. Community building. You know, oftentimes the biggest albatross startups have is that they feel that the talent is theirs, the knowledge is theirs, they can go the long haul. So every budding startup wants to be a founder, wants to be the next, next Sam, right? And so you're running, you want to take that glory. But, you know, working together does a lot of magic, because you find that, okay, you may not end up being the founder, but you may partner and provide, you know, bespoke solutions that could do innovative and phenomenal things, like Alert by Wema, for instance, you know, it's doing in terms of payment solutions and all that. You know, in fact, one of the assignments I'm going to give the startups here, especially those in the fintech space, is, you know, you guys have heard about the new CBN regulation. Hey guys, go think about it. It has provided a problem that's going to give you a very rewarding profit if you find a reasonable solution that can make, you know, cash-based businesses or those who are seemingly unbankable able to access finance. So opportunities are there, and these opportunities are better harnessed in a community ecosystem. You know, upscaling oftentimes is not done alone. You know, you need people to do. So I'm back to Sam. Sam is a back-end man, you know, building phenomenal products. He doesn't like the eye of the public. Yeah, he just wants to sit back and just build, and then, you know, have magic happen. How do you manage the products you create over a long time, even when the people who have created it are no longer there?
Thank you very much. Solomon and Howard essentially helped me. We started Semicolon in 2019. One of the first corporate employers to employ from Semicolon was actually Wema Bank. And so it's good to hear Solomon acknowledge the quality and the level of the work that the guys are doing. And then to your point of retention, the people, the people that joined Wema Bank from Semicolon back in 2020, they're still there today. And part of that is going to what Hawa was saying about community. Semicolon, we refer to it as a family. Everybody that comes in becomes a member of the family. And we say that the strength of our program is in the alumni, what they do after they've left the program, how they contribute to building solutions. Companies across Nigeria and across the continent are embarking on digital transformation, at times by choice, at times as a result of market exigencies. And so for us, we recognize the fact that first we need to build people that have the skills that employers are interested in, and that also goes back to the point Saeed made about problem solvers, people who can actually think critically and come up with solutions to problems. And so skill is number one. Number two is reminding people that software engineering or technology is a team sport. You can't do it on your own. And so you need to, wherever it is that you find yourself, recognize the fact that you're part of a team and you need to work with others and you need to look out for each other that we win together. So that community element of it, what Hawa was referring to, is a big and critical one for us. And as people are sort of exiting the program, we try to spend some time to remind them about the importance of building long, sustainable careers. Don't go out and be looking for the next extra 20K or 50K. That's not how you build a career. Like Solomon was saying.
Sorry, this K I call it USD, right? USD, clarify it.
like Solomon was saying, many people in his team are young people. And so we say to them that if you're already in your early or mid-20s, you're already earning the sorts of amounts that you're earning, you shouldn't be worried about financial stability for the future. It means that what you now need to focus on is how do you build a strong, sustainable career? Because as companies grow, that's part of what Solomon is alluding to. He's the young guy that they brought along to come and lead a team. At the time when he took the job, he was less than 30. We say to people that imagine where you're going to be within 5 years, within 10 years of your career. Businesses are growing, and as a result of those businesses growing, they need people who can lead and manage teams. And those people will be those who have spent time in those careers demonstrating they're reliable and dependable, not just in terms of the solutions that they build, but also just in their longevity in the work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. I can now see why, Solomon was very generous with his acknowledgements at the onset. It shows the culture that you have created at Semicolon. Yeah, Saeed, we're back to you. And as enormous as the work the private sector is doing is, and commendable, the fact remains that the bulk is still better done by the public sector. We listened to the session that just ended, and even the first, and one of the things that the Commissioner for Education said, that struck me was our curriculum still trains people as if they are going to the university, right? And so she had asked the question, do you want to have a BSc in philosophy? Or do you want to know how to code and create softwares and solutions, bespoke banking solutions, or solutions that can make people's lives better? But the system is still centered around, moving your talent to finish from the primary school, move to the secondary, then go to the university, then get a degree, and then get a job. And then, hey, maybe now everyone is talking about entrepreneurship. Okay, maybe do 1 or 2 courses and get a skill. Is that really the way to go for the future? Or what can the public sector do to harness talents better? Do we need to rejig the system?
Thank you very much. So one of the things we need to start with is our readiness. Today, I believe in the hybrid model. So it's not compulsory that to be a developer or to be in the tech ecosystem, you have to pass through, those levels of education. But what is important is to be able to set goals. So either you're going through the polytechnic or the technical education colleges or to the university, what thing that's going to stand you out is the ability to solve problems. Because in the end, people have problems and they want these problems solved. I mean, we've had those at the earlier panel saying they had interviews and they got to the stage where the successful applicants didn't even pass through the secondary school. You know, they probably dropped out at GSS 3. So, and I believe youths today are also aware of this fact that people like Mark Zuckerberg, didn't make it through the university. So information is out there to know that the university is not the only thing. But of course, if you gain admission into a university, I would expect that you try to, pursue it, except if it's absolutely clear that it's going to be a waste of time. But as long as you are not sure of that future, then you need to invest that time too in the university education. But on the other side of you developing your talents, the question is the university is not in session, 365 days in a year, 24 hours a day. So that means you have time to also combine that. And then one other advantage of the university education would be you're probably trying to be a medical doctor. We have challenges in the medical field that need technology. So that means you could also be going into those areas to see how you can use technology to solve other aspects of life. When you talk of security, you talk of legal practice, so you still need professionals. So professionals is not going to disappear, and so you're probably a better problem solver if you have, a professional leaning because you have an idea of what it is. And like she mentioned, Alma, that, it's not just about being the coder that makes you a part of the tech ecosystem. We need people that can give us clear direction from the beginning of the problem to the end, to narrate a story for that developer himself, to work and also see that, when you see the end picture of a project, you want to start that project and probably at least complete the project. But when you just come in and they say, okay, code and provide these instructions, and that's it. Once you're through with those instructions, you're signed out. Or you'll be like, when am I going to be through with these instructions? So, but when you are part of the large story, the beginning, to the end, like we have the financial inclusivity problem, it's still a big problem, and you see yourself in that picture, then you can say, okay, I want to spend 3 years in this project. I want to spend 4 years in this project, and hope that along the line too, you're going to achieve depth. And what depth gives you is it makes you more valuable. So you stop moving from just 5% pay rise. You could move to times X, because you've taken the time, you're part of that story, and you've developed the depth that makes you become a consultant in that space. And I think that's what you should be aiming for. Become a consultant, and then you can spread your wings further. Thank you.
Oh, guys, I was going to say you should give a good round of applause, because that's has been very, very insightful what you've said. I just have an issue, and I think that you're in government, you have the ears of government, and so you can have this conversation. Really needs to have a sizable number of our courses have become redundant, have become archaic. And in this contemporary age, hey, why can't I have a degree of BSc in coding? Right? So how do we begin to certificatize, if there's any word like that, these skill-based courses, right? And just so you put a bit of structure. So there's something that the university education does, especially if you really go well. They often say that let the school pass through you and you pass through the school. It gives you certain life skills and certain, key skills that are outside your skill, but are very important to help you grow and, leverage on what you have sustainably, right? So it's important that we begin to look at. It's important that we begin to look at that, right? And that's where I'm going to come to. How am I again before I come to Solomon? How do you in those hubs help startups hone these skills. Yes, I know how to code, but do I understand business management, right? Do I understand branding? Do I understand legal? Do I take legal issues seriously? Am I consulting with the right lawyers? Am I consulting with the right accountants, right? So they're getting the 20 and 50Ks and are squandering it because they believe that what they have in their head will continue to bring 100K. It sometimes doesn't always work that way. What are you guys doing to stem this tide?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, especially because it's a discussion that we need to have, right? Because the average talent thinks that they just need the skill, they just need to know how to code, and then they are going to the market thinking that everything is going to happen in their favor. However, I believe that most of us underestimate the place of soft skills, right? From business management to communication, leadership, right? All these things are the skills that would make our talent stand out. And so what we do is that we don't just, we don't restrict our upskilling to the skill itself, right? So we bring in soft skills. Like I said earlier, we brand them so that it can be a complete talent. Most of the talents we have right now, we can't call them a total talent because they just have the skill, right? Can they communicate the skill? Can they work in teams? Can they manage their money? Like you said. So when we have webinars, when we have fellowships, we ensure that we don't restrict them from this other soft skill part. And I want to advise other incubation hubs, right, to ensure that they are taking into consideration the other aspects of building or developing a talent, right, than just the upskilling part. And then I just want to say something concerning what you asked him. What can the public sector do? Now, because I'm very conversant with the talent ecosystem, I was undergoing a research and I discovered that in China, right, they invest a lot in research and development. What we do right here is that we are kind of being reactive. So when we see something happening, we try our best to fit into that trend and now see how we can develop talents that would solve that problem. But these people are thinking 2030, they're thinking 2040. How can we prepare talents of 2022 to solve problems of that time? So I think that's something we are not doing right now, and we should start doing it. If not, what we've been doing in the past might not work in that time. Thank you.
Right. Final round, but I'm going to put Solomon on the spot because you are the banker, you have all the money, right? And I'm going to come from a corporate social responsibilities perspective, and you probably, may not have full detail or full insights. But you see, as an organization, now I speak to WEMA, that leverages heavily on technology to provide bespoke banking solutions to its millions of customers. How are you impacting the ecosystem? How are you ensuring sustainability? How are you helping to tackle these challenges? How are you helping Saeed, who is in government and has an overwhelming burden, right? What are you doing? How's he helping you? How are you helping him? Have you paid his last invoice?
Thank you. So I think it's more of like an open book question. Interestingly, there's something Wema Bank does, and we've been doing it for the past 3 years, called Akaolix. How many of you have heard of Akaolix? Akaolix, okay, 2 or 3, right? So it's like a startup hackathon that we run every year. We've done it for 3 years consecutively. The first edition we had Team Apps. The Team Apps you know today was on Wema Bank's Akaolix. Prompter was on Wema Bank's Akaolix. This year we were in 3 universities: Babcock University, FUTA, and University of Lagos. And what we're trying to do is to say that we want to, not just help digital talent see that they have digital talents. We also want to create a pipeline, and I'll tell you why and how, right? So oftentimes when you talk about digital talent, the first thing that comes to your mind is software developer. So for example, I have a background in coding, but I can never sit down behind a laptop in my life to code again. I mean, it's not even a course. So I did a bit of IT project management, a bit of business analysis, a bit of data analysis. Then I worked with the ED of the bank I used to work with. Then it became the MD. Then I went to innovation as a BA. Then I did a bit of product management, right? And today I manage a team of design managers, program managers, software developers, and all of that, right? The truth is, I've realized, and this is my personal opinion, and I stand to be corrected. Please note, this is my personal opinion. The truth is, I feel we would not have a lot of product in the market if we have variety of digital talents. And I'll tell you why. In an organization with a good BA, a business analyst, there are some products that will not see the light of the day. So the moment we talk about talent and technology, what comes to your mind first is, oh, you want to code, you want to design. No. There are a couple of other skill sets that we need in the ecosystem that we need to encourage. You don't become a tech bro until you start coding. As a business analyst, you're a tech bro. As a product manager, you're a tech bro. So what I do with my team is I try to manage our energy by ensuring that we keep the pipeline, very tiny, right? So what we do with Alcoholics, to go back to the question, is to say that, we go to these campuses, we identify guys who we feel you have BA skills, you have product management skills. Aside from giving them money, we then put them together in a community, right? And what we're doing next year is to go bigger. I'm sure we already wrote to Lagos State Ministry of Science and Technology. So we're going to about 12 universities, and we have a flagship partnership with AWS, right? What we want to do next year is to scale and to be able to create a pipeline of 1,000 young folks who have talent across different areas, business analysis, product management. Do you know research and development is a big talent gap globally, right? And you're a tech bro if all you do is right? So
good evening, everyone.
I think
This is the MC. Good evening, everyone. I'm attending and talking to all the sessions. Sorry for interrupting. Please, can you round up in exactly 2 minutes as we have a vote of thanks by a commissioner, please. Thank you very much. In 2 minutes, please round up all sessions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Solomon. I could sense the passion in your voice. So, Said, in 15 seconds.
So what I would just like to add is, to accelerate technology talent development, we believe if the youth, the kids, they've got internet closer to them. So as part of the fiber ducts that the Lagos State government is building, all the schools would be connected to high-speed internet. And then the fiber to home is going to be possible for fiber to home to get to the home because these fibers will be passing through the street, and it means telecom providers can easily provide fiber speed to you. To be honest, wireless cannot provide you the kind of speed that we need, and that's why that investment is going on in Lagos State. Thank you.
Anyway, it takes a little picture to give the fiber that you come to you, who to catch.
I think a lot of the points have been made in terms of, again, if you look at the digital economy, there are a number of elements that we need to look at. There's digital skills and literacy. Our curriculum needs to be looked at. That's the same way that we've prioritized numeracy and verbal skills, digital skills now have to be a core part of that. Digital platforms, digital infrastructure like the fiber to home, digital financial services, digital entrepreneurship and innovation, key elements that we need to start investing in. The other key bit is that you have lots of young people that actually want to acquire the skills, but they don't have the money to do it. And so that's why I was making the points that when they say Wema Bank has the money, there are people who need to be able to access student loans for them to be able to acquire skills across a broad set. The part of the reasons why a lot of people are focusing on software engineering and software development is because they know it's their easiest pathway to getting certain jobs that give them a certain type of pay. But they don't realize that even as a product manager or as something else, you can still get the same. And so I think the key thing now is at least the conversations are all happening in the right sectors, both those that are building ecosystems, those that are in government making policy and providing enabling environments, and people like us that are just working on building that if you like, pool of talent to drive the digital transformation that others are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Sam has taken 45 seconds. In 15 seconds.
Oh, okay. The last words I would like to leave everybody with is that there is a sense of urgency on our talents, right? As a young talent in Africa, I don't want to say there's people look at you a certain way, because I have been in that global space and I know how they look at African talents, but you have to do much more work to prove yourself, right? And that's why I talk a lot about the total talent. So I'm speaking to the talents directly. Don't just focus on the skill you are learning, right? Learn how to communicate your value to a global audience, not just a Nigerian HR. Ensure that they can see you and they are attracted to you. You don't want to keep chasing. There are people that they are actually attracted to because of how their talent is branded, right? So that's just what I'll leave you guys with. Thank you.
And I will leave you guys with, take the key things that all the participants have said. Just as a
moderators, if you can hear me, please do round up now in 30 seconds as we're about to commence the vote of thanks. Thank you. Apologies on the interruption, but we need to conclude. 30 seconds, and then we'll go to the vote of thanks. Thank you.
For the organizations, keep rethinking, keep rebranding, keep repurposing to maintain talent. Public sector, look at the curriculum again and see how to rejig it. For the SAMs and the semicolons, keep building at the back end while maintaining integrity and sustainable integrity within your human resource personnel. And, for the startups, technology is a team sport, and it's important that you leverage on that community, the strengths of the community to grow. Thank you all to our participants. I want to say thank you to the audience. You've been wonderful, and look forward to seeing you in Arts 5.0 next year.
Much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. To the moderator and the panelists, please do ensure you get a picture with the press. Wherever you are, please do ensure you get a picture of the press. To the audience, please still hold on to your headphones as we have the vote of thanks. I'd like to call on the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Science and Technology, Lagos State, and the person of Mrs. Ibilola Kasimo. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to say a big thank you for coming to all our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's obvious that technology is the future, and obviously our talent needs to be developed in order for us to embrace this future. So one thing, all questions, I know we couldn't take all questions and all our comments, so you can direct them at www.aotlagos.com. So if you have any comments or any questions, please just send it to go to www.aotlagos.com. You have a portal where you can drop any questions or comments for us to address. So once again, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming. Tomorrow starts at 10 a.m. and will be a shorter one than today. We should be about 3 hours, so 10 to 1. So we expect to see most of you tomorrow. It's going to be a very engaging one as well. So thank you for coming, and God bless. Have a safe trip back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And that officially concludes day 1 of AOT Lagos 4.0. Tomorrow, we begin again, and we have a keynote session. We have plenary discussions, this time on touch on turbocharging talent development for a new Africa. There's also going to be Q&A interactions. The second plenary session will be globalization, advantages versus disadvantages, Africa's role in a globalized talent market. Looking forward to having you tomorrow. Really appreciate the time you have taken to be here as well. Please do not forget to return the headphones to the ushers who gave it to you. I remain Oscar Oyinsa, and we will see you tomorrow right here at the same time, 9 a.m. Thank you very much.